Experts kind of know, they have a ballpark figure, but they're not sharing that ballpark figure. And our goal is to get them to cough up that ballpark figure. Welcome to day 3 of the video challenge. In the last video, I said there was this quote from this amazing book, but there was something wrong with the quote. There was something horribly, horribly wrong. What was it? Let's look at that quote again. The goal of this channel is to advance the first gigawatt down metric to help bring the whole country together to understand how to get to zero carbon. So this quote, it's not like wrong, like evil wrong. It's actually accurate, technically accurate for what it's trying to do, but it misses an opportunity to really spell out for everyone what needs to happen. They have an opportunity and they fumble it. Okay, so there's 3 main things to look for here. Number 1, decarbonizing, that word which we're going to define later, decarbonizing the US energy system. What they need to be saying here in this section is decarbonizing the energy supply side. Decarbonizing should be split, if you're talking about energy, into demand side and supply side plays. And if you can do that regularly, get into the habit of doing that, then more people will begin to see it that way. And then they can focus better. You can focus on, oh, that's a demand side issue. These are demand side policies. Oh, this is a supply side issue. The energy supply. Because decarbonizing is kind of 2 halves of a process. They are 2 sides of the same coin, and he has an opportunity here. They all have an opportunity to make this distinction each time. These are supply side or demand side. The demand side stuff everybody does in their own sphere of influence. The supply side stuff is a much larger collective action game. So then the next part of the quote, he's spelling out what you need to do on the energy supply side, and it's you got to build a lot of onshore wind, offshore wind, utility scale solar, and transmission. Okay, so this would be considered premature down selection, okay, of your options of what to do on the energy side. Now, this quote is taken from the section on renewables in a bigger book that has a section on nuclear and other things. However, most articles out there, most books out there are just begin and end with this. They don't give you other selections. And then number 3, and this is the most important one, is the way they're trying to quantify it. They want to show you the scale, and so many articles do this. They want to show you the scale, and the scale is, it's got to be, we're going to need to build a lot of stuff, more than we've ever built through time. Okay, why don't you just give us the number? That is a really vague way of saying you need to do a lot of stuff. And it's vague in a place that you can be specific. These experts kind of know, they have a ballpark figure, but they're not sharing that ballpark figure. And our goal is to get them to cough up that ballpark figure. Because once they do that, we can all see and focus on what has to happen. So this is the biggest missed opportunity, is they don't just give it to us in gigawatt years, right? They do in one section, they don't in the executive summaries. They have to. From going forward, that's what they have to do. They have to put it in every executive summary has to give you the end game gigawatt year thing. And what's really interesting about this is if you go and read this particular book and you get to the section on nuclear, that's the only place where they give you a number. And that number is 400 gigawatts. So they say nuclear, the recommendation is 400 gigawatts, which is 4 times what we have now. Okay, but in the renewable section, they don't tell you how many gigawatts. Okay, and then, so we need that number. I think you'll notice this pattern. Now, if you're going to start looking for this pattern, just any article you read, any big, complicated policy proposals that you read, kind of try to scan it to find the thing where they summarize the overall picture. And then see how, if they just spit it out, like how many gigawatt years do we need, right? How many gigawatts of power? And they probably won't. They'll just say it's a big, vague, ambiguous thing, but we don't want to frighten you with the actual number. So our goal is to get them to cough up that number, because without that number, we're playing blind. And just, spoiler alert, for the US, this should be also self-evident. Why aren't these guys doing it? I feel so, okay, so actually I feel betrayed. And we should all feel betrayed by this. Like, you really need to give us that number, experts. I'm talking to you, experts. You need to give us, that number. Like, how many gigawatt years are we going to need of deliverable power? And not nameplate capacity, deliverable, like what's the end number? Like, how much are we consuming on the demand side that we need on the supply side? Okay, step one, just give us the number. Just cough up that number. We know you know that number because you have to know that number in order to calculate other things like how many emissions there are and how many emissions will offset. So you know it, but you've hidden it in your back pocket and you're not telling us for reasons. And I understand the reasons, and we're going to get to those reasons, but you need to overcome that and just share that number regularly in every single communication. What is the size of the US energy supply field that is decarbonized? Like, what is our goal? Okay, and spoiler alert, I know it's somewhere between 1,500 to 2,000. Maybe even if we get really good at efficiency, it'll be 1,000 to 2,000 gigawatt years deliverable, not nameplate, okay? So we know that, I know that, you know that, but everybody else doesn't know that. And so they're just walking around going, well, I guess it's a big number, but I guess we could just put solar panels on all the roofs and that would do it, right? And you know it won't, and I know it won't, but they don't know it won't, and you need to tell them, because who am I? I'm just some person yelling on YouTube. So now you're saying, okay, so what? We get a number of 1,500 to 2,000 gigawatt years. That doesn't mean anything to me. Why are you so upset? Please calm down. I'm calm. But here's the deal, because then the next thing you need to do is anchor that number to land use, because this is a ground game. And what we're up against isn't just some vague policies and some people winning office and who we vote for. This is a ground game. The NIMBY coefficient is the main deciding factor of what energy configuration we're going to end up with. And the sooner we understand that, the sooner we can get on with getting to zero carbon, right? So it's super important to know how much energy we need at the end. And then we also need to anchor that to the area that each thing, and the area and the resources and the other issues and things that each unit will require. So 1 gigawatt year, for example, of nuclear is going to take up a few acres, like 200 acres, whatever. 1 gigawatt year with solar power takes up 70 square miles. Okay, so that's a very different NIMBY game. Okay, you might hate nuclear, so there's going to be a massive NIMBY backlash, and you love solar, but then after like mile 3, you're like, wait a minute, right? So this is the issue. This is the ground game. And this is the foundation of the rest of everything. Like, you're building everything, all these other things you do on the demand side is built on your supply, your energy supply. So if you haven't secured that, and if you haven't communicated that to the people, what are you doing, you expert? So anyway, this is why I've started a YouTube channel, because this must be communicated, and it is not being communicated, and I'm going to communicate it, and I would really like your help in communicating it, because I feel, if you see how important this is. Okay, and just so I'm going to say, okay, let me relax. So please head out there and start noticing this pattern, and we'll talk more about the numbers later. Anyway, thank you. Day 3.